listening to Brave the Basement.
Hello, ghouls, and welcome to Brave the Basement. I'm your host, the Ghoul That Rules.
I'm your co-host, Black One Jack 2.
If you enjoy getting a little scared, ghost stories, haunted houses, a believer in the supernatural, or maybe even a skeptic when to look at things from a different perspective, then this is the show for you. Today's episode is sponsored by Ed's Barbershop. Ed's Barbershop is located at 210 Lane Street in North Judson, Indiana. So if you enjoy getting your hair cut from a hometown barber with that old-fashioned feel, then dial 574-896-3344 and schedule your appointment today. How's it going, Blackjack?
I am actually doing pretty good.
So today I'm going to tell you another one of my ghost hunting experiences that we had. This was about my freshman year in high school.
We out of the woods?
We are out of the woods.
Okay.
And have officially went to a barn.
To a barn? Okay, we have upgraded, people. Upgraded.
Yeah, so we're not outside anymore. We went inside. So I posted this experience on Reddit as well, so I'm going to go ahead and share it with you. One day at lunch, one of my friends said he thinks there are ghosts in his barn. Since I've been on several ghost hunting trips, I asked him if we could get a couple of the guys to spend the night in the barn that weekend. He reluctantly agreed. So it was decided then, this weekend, we would see if this barn was haunted. We all met at the barn right after dark. We each set up our own sleeping quarters inside the barn. We arranged hay for seats, and sitting in a circle, we just started looking and talking about everything but the barn. After a while, I asked my friend, "So we are here because you said the barn is haunted. We've been here a couple of hours, and nothing has happened. Why do you say the barn is haunted?" My friend just looked at the ground for a few moments, and he looked up at me and he said, "You will all think I'm crazy, but I hear things sometimes in this barn. Scary things. And I just think that this is a bad idea tonight." After debating with my friends for a while about staying the rest of the night in the barn, we decided to vote on it. The vote was in my favor. 3 of us wanted to stay, and he was the only one that wanted to leave. We gave him the option of just going inside his house, but he knew if he chickened out, he would never hear the end of it. We stayed up and talked for a while, and it started getting late. We all laid down in our makeshift beds to go to sleep. As we tried to doze off, we started hearing something smacking against the side of the barn. We all brushed it off because it sounded like a branch blowing in the wind hitting the barn. The sound continued in a very steady metronome-like rhythm. We then heard what sounded like footsteps crunching on hay inside the barn. My buddy grabbed his flashlight and started scanning the barn, but nobody was to be seen. The pounding on the outside of the barn started to get louder and louder as the tempo of the rhythm grew faster in the pace. We started hearing more footsteps inside the barn, as if we were surrounded by 5 or 6 people. By this point, we all had our flashlights out scanning for signs of anyone else besides us in the barn. Still, nobody was to be seen. We got up out of our beds and we were ready to fight whoever or whatever was inside with us. The pounding on the outside of the barn grew from only one wall to all 4 walls. By this point, the pounding was so loud we could no longer hear the movement inside the barn. The metronome-paced rhythm was now just a sporadic banging. We decided to run for it. My buddy opened the barn door, and we all took off running. As we made it a couple of feet outside of the barn, we slammed right into my friend's dad. We all tumbled to the ground. As we all started to get up, his dad asked us, "What are you guys doing? You about killed me." My buddy was trying his best to explain what happened. Of course, his dad didn't believe us. His dad made us stay the rest of the night inside the house. A few months later, my buddy comes to school with a newspaper article. He found out that about 30 years before he moved in, a jealous husband shot and killed his wife's lover inside the barn before turning the gun on himself.
Okay, your first mistake was that you're not listening to your friends saying, "We need to leave." Saying it, calling it right there. That was number 1.
So here was the deal, okay? We asked him if we could stay.
He said yes. He said yes.
Well, he reluctantly said yes. he knew that if he chickened out, that we were going to make fun of him forever.
And what happened? You all left their chickens, my guy.
What are you trying to say, Blackjack? That I always tend to run whenever these things happen?
Yeah. Okay, I bet you're gonna be running when we go to Moody's Light.
Now listen, I've been to Moody's Light several times and only flew out of there once.
And you're gonna be flying out again, even though we're going together.
Yeah, it's not happening. No, but in all seriousness, okay, I'm extremely brave going in
And chicken on the way out.
and chicken on the way out, because when it goes down, I'm gone. But no, back to this story. This was at about the same point in time. Like I said, this was about my freshman year of high school, and what was really, at this point is when I started exploring places like Moody's Light, and we were going to these so-called haunted houses, and then just one day, and this is the best part. You talk about first mistake. The real first mistake is him knowing this and bringing it up at lunchtime. Like, we're not all going to be like, yeah, we're going there, right?
First mistake on him.
Yeah, first mistake's on him this time.
Shout out to that person.
Yeah, so way to go. You knew what was going to happen. We were going to go. So what ended up happening, like I said in the story, just a quick recap. We stayed in the barn, and we started hearing this banging on the side, and we just brushed it off thinking the wind's just blowing something against the barn, no big deal.
All
And-
the normal stuff in every single movie, show, comic book, whatever you could think of.
Exactly, right? And then we started hearing stuff inside the barn. And when we started hearing this, like there was people inside the barn with us walking around. And as kind of this whole thing was going on, that outside, that steady metronome type bang against the outside of the barn grew into this very sporadic just bum, 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 bum. There was no more rhythm to it. There was no more steady metronome pace to it. And that's when we knew that this barn, something's
going down.
Something's going down.
And you chickened out.
Yeah, we ran. And of course, his dad was coming out to check on us, and it was pitch black that night, and we ran right in. We were all just in one big pile, just boom, we all
Bowling
hit each
ball.
other.
Like
Yeah.
a bowling ball.
Yeah, just
With pins.
bodies all over the ground. And he was like mad, super mad, that he had a bunch of teenage kids running out of the barn like madmen in the middle of the night and knocking them over. And of course, we weren't allowed to stay in the barn. We had to go to the house at that point.
You know what's shocking is that he brings the newspaper.
Oh, yeah. So, a little while after that happened, he brings that newspaper that he found, his old newspaper, that about 30 years before he even moved in the house, that there was a murder there. And supposedly some guy was messing around with the guy's wife, and the husband shoots the guy and then kills himself on that same property. Now, we don't know any other history about anything else happening on that property other than that story. If the story's related or not, we're not sure. But that barn was definitely haunted.
Who knows? A lot of things could have happened in that barn.
That's true. I mean, you're talking about an area that's out in the middle of the country, and who knows
There for
what
30
happened.
years. I mean, you can use that for almost anything for supernatural.
For all we know, there could have been pagan rituals going on in that barn, or maybe it was just simply this murder-suicide, I should say, that happened inside this barn. But I'll never forget that. It was an interesting experience. Unfortunately, we never seen anything. It's only what we heard. We scanned the barn with the flashlight, looking to see.
So it was dark in the barn.
Yeah, well, we all the lights were off because we were going to sleep.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's when everything was starting to pick up.
Yep, that's when everything started picking up.
Did
right
you
when we-
have like a watch or time?
No, I could only guesstimate what time it was.
Can you give us a guess?
It would have been after midnight. You know, I mean, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Because it always seems to me that all your hauntings always occur around 12 to like 3, a little bit past 3.
Yeah, that's usually the typical time a lot of people report these things. I've had, things happen around that time. I've also had things happen in the broad daylight. When I told the story of the haunted house across the street, that was broad daylight. When I watched that ghost just kind of dematerialize in front of me, that was in the broad daylight. That wasn't at night.
I mean, but I feel like there's more of a chance of occurring. You know what I mean? At this time, so it could be like the timing of this. So when you're in the barn, it was just at the perfect time. Because who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Like I said, when I say I went on these ghost hunts, and I had mentioned in the past that I was an amateur ghost hunt, and that's a stretch saying amateur because I've never brought equipment, never tried to record these things. It was just more, let's go and see if something would happen and see if we could see some ghosts
And run.
and then run when we see them because that's why I'm the ghoul that rules, right? Because there's a ghost, I'm gone.
And we report it to the show.
And yeah, we report it to the show.
Moody's light. We're going to go there. We're going to see the light. Hopefully there's no man. We're going to leave.
Yeah. You laugh now. He's laughing pretty good. It's hilarious. Because he always says, hopefully the man's not there.
Hopefully.
And I'm thinking, oh no, because I want to record this because now I got a podcast about the supernatural. So before, I was always with my friends, so it's not like they could say, oh, well, that didn't happen because they were with me. But I'd love to share something like that with our audience out there.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and laugh, Blackjack, but
As long as we don't have to go to any barns.
no, you're not going to see barns that we're going to be able to go to when we go to Moody's Light, which I'm hoping to go very shortly. It is winter time right now. So it's just one of them deals. Just wait until the schedule's open and it's warm enough and the roads are clear enough to go. But we're going to go, we're going to record it, and we're going to see what happens.
The question is, okay, remind us, okay, is when we record the episode, that future episode, do we run like chickens or do we stay like actual ghost hunt?
Okay, so it's one thing now for me to tell you something that I have done and tell you that I ran. But now that I'm actually going to be recording and sharing it with an audience, like actual recordings, yeah, we got to stick it out. We got to be men about it.
Yep. Totally agree.
It's one of them, your pride's on the line.
The show's rep is, it's there.
And it's another thing because I've ghost hunted in my adult life. And Brave the Basement is a fairly new podcast, and I'm trying to get through my stories when I first started ghost hunting. So if you notice, the first episode I started with my grandma's house and my first ever experience with anything paranormal. And I've been kind of trying in my mind on a lot of my personal experiences, kind of work through each one as I remember them happening. So there's more to come.
Definitely.
Yes.
And then we can also cover games.
True. And we'll talk about other things as well. But I'm trying to keep my earlier ghost hunting experiences more in the beginning episodes here of Brave the Basement as we go on, kind of get into some of my more stories when I was an adult doing some things. So speaking of ghost hunting, if any of ghouls out there have had any experiences with their ghost hunting, visiting haunted houses or going to some of these places like Moody's Light, we'd love to hear from you. So if you'd like to become a Brave the Basement ghoul, be sure to share this show on social media or go to bravethebasement.weebly.com and sign up for a newsletter to get all the latest news and updates when each episode has been posted. And I'd like to add a note on that. I just posted on our website, on the photo gallery, pictures of the cemetery from last week's episode, so be sure to check that out. If you have a ghost story you would like to share, you can reach us at bravethebasement@gmail.com. Your story can make it on the show and be featured on the website. You can also submit your story on Reddit under the subreddit Brave the Basement or in the YouTube comment section. If you have an eerie ghost photo you would like to share, please email us and include a description, and your photo could be added to our photo gallery. And that brings us to the end. We hope that we brought you just a little fright. And remember, when you were up late at night and you hear something in the other room that just doesn't seem right, it's okay if you need to turn on a light to protect yourself from things that go bump in the night. I'm your host, Ghoul That Rules.
I'm your co-host, Black One Jack 2.
And I hope you join us again. Until next time.